Yeah, sure. Hey, Chen, how you doing?
Bob,
Th-
good morning, man. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for being on. I know you're a Chicago guy, and Daryl Walker's a Chicago guy. I was wondering, do you know Daryl, or have you, uh, do you have a sense of him? I think him and Kenny are pretty good friends.
Yeah, those guys are a little older than me, but um, I know him. I know of him. I know his history, and we're both from the city of Chicago. So I'm a basketball almanac historian. So I kind of like know a lot about him. So there's a lot of respect there.
Yeah, they had a good one last night. Tulsa won double digits. I don't know if you've been able to watch that game or been able to look at them, but just what's your take on UALR overall?
Um, I like what they run. I like their style of play. They're number one in the country in what we call the Olajuwon stat. That's blocks and steals combined. Um, they average 10 steals a game. They cause 17 turnovers a game. Um, they're helter skelter, right? They mix up defenses. They changes the rhythm of the game. They keep you off guard. They scatter the court a little bit, and they cause havoc, and that works good in their favor. They run really good stuff on offense. They run some Princeton stuff with this team. They got good pieces, good personnel. Like their team a lot. We respect them, but we don't fear them. But there's a lot of respect for what they do and who they are and how they're playing and winning basketball games.
Yeah, I might have a couple more. I'll turn it back to Mike if I can ask some questions later in the Zoom. Thanks.
Hutch,
Yeah, Coach, I'm curious if you have any updates on Jonas and Trevin, if they might be available for Friday's game.
I'm not sure about that. We haven't got an update for today. I think uh, that's up to our medical staff and Matt and those guys are doing a good job monitoring that. They're trying. I know the kids are chomping at the bit to get back on the basketball court and working really hard and going to their PT meetings and around the clock treatment and therapy with Matt. But in terms of a status report, I don't have that right now at this moment.
And then if you're without them, I wonder if as a staff, have y'all kind of game planned like a doomsday scenario where if maybe somebody else gets shaken up in the game or foul trouble. I mean, you almost kind of had that against Pacific, just kind of how y'all will handle that with the shorter rotation.
Yeah, we talk about it. We prepared for all scenarios. As you saw last game, we had to play small because we had to play a do at the five some. Defensively, we had to play a do at the five, but offensively, pretty
Man,
much a lot of
welcome
our
in here
parts are
live at Cmacs
interchangeable.
Southern Kitchen here located at 2190 MLK Boulevard. It's talking season here on the Hill Media. It's our picks day as Demetrius and I will give you what we think will happen both on the high school scene and the college scene. We'll talk to you a little bit about tomorrow's UALR Arkansas basketball game. Arkansas becoming bowl eligible. I mean, is this going to be the weekend that Arkansas does do it? Bowl eligibility? I mean, a lot going on, and then there's a lot going on in the SEC. Three teams, Demetrius, trying to get bowl eligible this weekend: Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. All, or I should say, Florida, all 5-5. With a win for each team, they become bowl eligible. Out of those three, Florida's going to be taking on Ole Miss. Oklahoma's going to be hosting Alabama, and Arkansas is going to be hosting La Tech. You would think that Arkansas has the easier path to get to bowl eligibility, but that's not the case. I mean, when you look more into this La Tech team, I mean, they played 3 overtime games, and here of recent have played much better during this stretch of football games than they did in the previous weeks early in the year. So this is going to be one of those games I think Arkansas is going to have to come out and take care of business, not play with their food, get rid of this team real early, not like they did with UAB.
yeah, Pat. I would agree if you didn't mention the two of the top, three teams in the SEC. You mentioned Ole Miss and you mentioned Alabama. So I can't really put Louisiana Tech in that category. But what I will say is, yes, Arkansas will have a formidable opponent in Louisiana Tech.
Right.
But I think Arkansas still has the odds to win that game out of those three to be bowl eligible. from Florida, and you said Kentucky,
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, excuse me. So
They're
yeah,
not going to get there. They're not going to go bowl eligible. I mean, they may not even make
not
a
against
bowl.
those teams. They won't get the win against
Right.
those teams. So I would have to give Arkansas the edge and out of those three in winning this week's pick'em.
Taylor Green. What's going to be your assessment of Taylor? Because right now, I've been a Taylor Green fan most of the year, but it just seems over the last 2 or 3 weeks, he's been seeing ghosts. He's been real having happy feet. Some of those sacks, I know the offense gets, the blame, but, you can't take some of the sacks that I think number 10 takes. Got to be more better in his decision-making. I mean, a lot of times from the press box where I sit each and every weekend, you see a lot of open receivers that are just not getting the ball. So I think he's got to be a better decision-maker in this week and in particular next weekend in Columbia, Missouri. I mean, he's just got to make better decisions. The turnovers, and they're happening at inopportune times because these are like point-making turnovers. You go back to Texas, A&M, Ole Miss, LSU. I mean, when the turnovers are happening, the opposing teams are striking up the band most often than not.
No, I think what you're doing now with Taylor and I like Taylor. I think he's a great young man. I love the way he represents his spirituality. He's very outspoken when it comes to that.
Right.
I think he's an awesome leader. But as far as what I see on the field now, I think now we're having this conversation of, is this worth the investment going into next year? I think now you're really using these next couple of games to really assess, man, do I really want to go in the transfer portal and look for somebody and take this NIL and put it elsewhere? Or is Taylor worth the investment that I've put in thus far and to continue on betting my pretty much coaching tenure on this guy, saying like, man, if I'm going to sink with the ship, this is the guy I want leading it. And I think that's a question that Sam Pittman will have to really think about hard going into the offseason because, you do have a lot of young guys, but even when you look at Singleton, I think if they really wanted him to be the keys to the Cadillac or give him the opportunity that they would have given to him thus far, because I felt that like Taylor's giving you moments in games where the backup probably should have came in and they didn't allow him to go in the game and they chose to stick with Taylor. So that right there just told me the allegiance of where they are thus far. But I think that's really the conversation right now is he worth the investment going into next year with the games that we have and with what we see and what we'll have to see even in going into the bowl game.
Right.
Is it worth it?
There's a lot of questions at the conclusion of this football season. This December 15th, transfer portal, I will continue to say, not just for Arkansas, but college football all across the country. If you're going to be a high bidder for some of the elite talent, you got to do it in December. Eventually, when that revenue sharing comes in, NIL will be in a place where it was originally thought for people to get use out of it. So, there's going to be a lot of balancing in college football once this revenue sharing starts to come. And then, like, you hear people talk about, well, let's fire Sam Pittman. Logic says if you have $20 million revenue sharing to give to the kids, your athletes, why would you not give that? So you're gonna have to. You'd rather spend 20 to fire and then 20 more to hire, and then you're still back in your NIL dilemma. So I really feel like once this profit sharing, the revenue sharing thing gets passed in the NCAA, you will see the Arkansas, the Kentuckys, kind of. Shrink that gap a little bit.
I give you my real assessment about where I think Sam Pittman is. I think Sam Pittman can end up going 7-5. I think he obviously gets another year for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think what we're talking about now is, does he get 2 years? Because now I think, and the reason why I say that is because I agree with you, Pat. This offseason where we're talking about that transfer portal that you keep talking about and college changing and having these benefits and trying to level out the playing field, that can hurt Arkansas as well because now you're going back to what brand is bigger. And, I don't think necessarily Arkansas has the best brand, even with I feel like, consistency we've had through Sam Pittman's era.
Right.
And I think now you're better off sticking with Sam and giving him 2 years, letting him get that one cohesion with his staff.
Right.
I think that's probably the biggest thing because I think these guys have shown that they can go get players.
Because when you think about it, outside of all of the coordinators that Sam has hired, I mean, he's made some really good hires to his staff outside of Dan Enos. I don't think that was a good hire. But for the most part, he's surrounded himself with great coaches, coordinators, and great recruiters. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like this program is not in a better situation than it was when Sam took over because I would be lying. I mean, I think it's trajected upwards, and I think this will be a much better football team next year than this year. But they still have maybe some more offensive line pieces, maybe a running back. I think Arkansas really needs to get 2 older defensive tackles, guys that can create havoc and get after the quarterback. I mean, and I think they're going to have to get some older guys back there in that secondary. I'm pleased and happy with what they have at the linebacker.
But Pat, we have to clearly define what better means. Are we talking better with on the team? What should I say? The visual aesthetics of what the team looks like? Or are we talking about better in the sense of overall record? Because I think that's where you have the fan base struggle with right now because from a visual standpoint, the team has gotten better. It is visually a little bit more aesthetically pleasing than it has been in previous. I would definitely say before Sam Pittman has got here. It has definitely been a 360-degree turn. But does that translate over to wins and losses?
Right.
And I think that's where the fan base is really at is, yes, there's improvement, but we want to win.
And when you look at that schedule next year, it's not going to
It doesn't get any easier.
From the week carded. But, hey, we're going to take a real quick break, and then, hey, some high school football quarterfinals matchups in the 7A. We'll talk about all that. It's our Thursday edition, live here at Cmacs Southern Kitchen. We'll be back.
It's in the foul trouble or if something like that happens, we'll be prepared for it.
Connor?
Hey, Coach, you mentioned Adu playing a little bit at the 5, but just what has he meant to you guys this season and just the leap he's taken from his time at Kentucky to now and how he's been able to just, grow as a player?
Nothing he's doing is surprising to us. We are fully aware of his skill sets and how he can impact the basketball game. He's, in my opinion, could be one of the most impactful players in college basketball because of what he does on both sides of the ball, right? What he does defensively, him being hard to guard on the offensive side because, I think Adu was a point guard. He obviously grew to be 6'7", 6'8", and he's this physique, right, that he has. But he was a point guard, so he's got good ball skills, he's got good deck game, so he can drive the ball, and he's probably arguably one of the most athletic kids in basketball right now, in college basketball. So he's not doing anything for us that is shocking. What we're concerned about, which has been an issue for him, as I said before, is him being consistent. Can he keep up this pace? Can he continue?
Talking season. It's our picks Thursday. We get you ready for SEC football, high school football, quarterfinal matchups throughout the entire state of Arkansas. And 7A, some really good matchups coming up, Demetrius. Last week, Springdale, unfortunately, in my picks, as I picked them to win, went down to Cabot 33-32. Cabot will be moving on to play Bryant this Friday night. Pulaski Academy, a 58-20 winner over the Harbor Wildcats. They will make their way Friday night to Harmon Playfield. We'll be on the call at 7 p.m. with that game. Bentonville West goes to Little Rock Christian, and they take a 38-22 road win. Not surprised about that. And then Rogers, they close it out on Friday night, beating Southwest 35-0 with the big goose egg. So moving on as we get into this week's picks in the quarterfinal matchup. Let's start it up. Bryant will host Cabot at Bryant Stadium Friday night. Undefeated. Cabot comes in off a close road victory at Springdale as a 5th seed. How you see that game going?
I would like an upset, but I'm definitely going to have to go. Anytime Bryant's at home, it's hard to beat them.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very hard to beat them, as they have the 13th man.
Yeah.
They don't just have the 12th man; they have the 13th man. So again, I'm gonna have to get that to Bryant.
I'm gonna go with Bryant as well. Just feel like when you have a third year starter at quarterback, I mean that's something to be said for the experience factor. And this is a team I think is hungry and trying to get back to the state championship. So I'm gonna take Bryant to beat Cabot in that ball game. Our second game pits the Fayetteville Bulldogs, defending state champions, hosting the Pulaski Academy Bruins, led and coached by former Arkansas Razorback Anthony Lucas. Where we going with that one? Now, they have a big-time quarterback, I believe, 4th in the nation in passing, 12th in total offense. But how do we see that game going?
Pat ain't gonna lie to you. I had to lick that barbecue sauce. You gotta run that. You gotta run that back to me.
Pulaski Academy and Fayetteville. Where we got
home game. Yeah. Man, this is gonna be a big one. I think this game is really dependent on Garrett Odom. I think this could be his coming out party, and I think this actually can be the game. And I know he's already going to Nevada, but I think this can be. I said Nevada.
UNLV, Nevada, Las Vegas.
Yeah, UNLV. I really feel like this can be his real big coming out party. Like he can really get a lot of national attention going in here and beating this PA team. So again, I think Fayetteville can get the job done.
I feel like Fayetteville, with having so much experience in their senior group, having been on a team defending runner-up and then the state champion heading into their senior year with so many players that played on that state championship team defensively, and I think that's what they're going to hang their hat on. I mean, I feel like the defense is going to be put in a lot of situations to make plays, and they have the guys to do it. And I also feel like just numbers. I mean, when you watch PA, they all, when they play Bryan and Conway first quarter, but you think about the numbers. And I just think, to me, I think Fayetteville has the best defense in the 7A playoffs. And I continue to go back to the way they played 2 weeks ago at Harbor in that drive and rain. It was real good complementary football. They're going to be physical. If Fayetteville can continue to run 192-yard average a game, which is totally mind-blowing when you're talking high school football. So I think Fayetteville's
one more thing on that. I'm expecting Christian Battle to come back and really have an impact on that game.
Yes.
I know he's been I wouldn't say missing, but I'll say he wasn't on the streak that he was on earlier in the year. But I think this playoffs, him having his last run to have this opportunity to get him a ring, I think he's really going to play with a lot of heart and passion. I'm expecting Christian Battle to really go out there and show out.
Our next game is the City of Bentonville battle in the quarterfinals, the 7A West matchup. The Bentonville West Wolverines will just go slightly up the road for part 2 of their matchup with the Bentonville Tigers. I think this might be one of the closer games. Now, I know it may not look like it on paper, but it's always tougher the second time around when you play a team when they have more. And these are conference foes, opponents. There's not going to be too much that either team has done that the other team hadn't seen. So I think it's going to be a close one, but I'm going to take Bentonville in this one.
Man, I just have to take Bentonville just off with coaching experience.
Right.
I think when you look at Bentonville, they've been there, done that. This isn't anything new. They were there last year, Fayetteville versus Bentonville. So, again, I think just the experience overall from coaching staff, those guys are going to be jacked up to have an opportunity to play Fayetteville again in the championship.
Lastly, Rogers will travel all the way down to Conway to take on the Wampus Cats.
Ooh.
That there will be to me. I think Fayetteville, PA. There's just a lot of good games, but I'm gonna take Conway. But I will leave it out there. If Rogers were to pull the upset, it's all contingent on is Grayson Wilson gonna play in that ball game? Because I think if G. Will plays, Conway will win it. If not, that leaves the door open for Rogers to maybe pull an upset. I mean, they went there last year in the quarterfinals, didn't have the success, so I'm pretty sure they're going to go down there with revenge on their mind, but I'm going to take the Wampus Cats to move on and play Bentonville in the semifinals.
Yeah, I think athletically, I think Conway definitely still has the better team. When you look at players, I think on paper, Conway does look. But I think, again, you said a key player has to be there. And then another thing is I think Rogers is going to have a little extra added motivation just seeing how many Northwest Arkansas teams are really in the hunt to really have a chance to win
Great
this,
point.
and I think they wanna be in the conversation with Fayetteville and the Bentonville West and the Bentonvilles. You know, it's been a while since
Right.
you've even heard Rogers even having this type of success. What was it, a couple of years ago that
Yes.
they had went to the playoffs and that they actually had a chance of doing some things. So again, I think they want to make their way back into that conversation of contending football champions.
And we'll be right back. 6A, 5A, 4A. It's a lot of area high school football teams that will be playing this Friday night, and we'll let you know how we think they're going to fare. It's our Thursday edition, live from Cmacs Southern Kitchen.
Pull off an upset. I know you said you don't fear them earlier, but is there any added trepidation, not just, to tomorrow night, but in your coaching career when you're going up against maybe an in-state mid-major, this type of opponent?
Let me be clear. Highly respect them. All right. Highly respect them. And I want the fear thing that's with anybody, right? You always respect your opponent. And we have a high degree of respect for them. We have a high degree of respect for Coach Walker, who's an alumni here, one of the great players here that played here. So there's a lot of respect there for them and what they do and who he is and how he's built his team and how his team is performing. But we don't fear him. We want to prepare for them as hard as we can, and we expect to win the basketball game because we prepare. And in between the lines, I understand that there's some extra ancillary stuff added to this game. It's an in-state game. Obviously, Coach Walker played here. He's beloved here. But at the end of the day, this is about our team playing their team, and it's about who is going to make less mistakes, who's going to be assignment sound, who's going to play the hardest, and who's going to execute their game plan the best on both ends of the basketball court. And then we'll see who wins the game. That's what this is about. This is a basketball game that we're going to play hard as to win so that we can prepare to get better for what's in front of us. And I'm sure they're trying to do the same thing.
Thanks, Chin.
Bob? Yeah, Chin, I was looking at the stats. I think ULR hit 8 of 18 threes at Tulsa. And on the season, they're shooting like 41%, pretty salty. Well, what's your take on their three-point offense?
We can't allow for them to attempt 25 threes. And our defense has to cut their attempts in half. You're right. They're shooting plus 40%. They got one kid shooting 47%. They got another kid shooting 44%. Their two main guys, I think, are really good three-point shooters. So we have to cut those in half. That means the attempts, the FTAs from three, they can't take 25 threes in our building. That's not going to happen. We're going to try to defend against that and make that be maybe 13 and cut the number of makes down to about 5. And if we do that, that'll play into our favor in terms of being victory.
And then Moani Wilkinson, he's an SEC guy from LSU. He's leading their team in scoring. And yeah, and he's if I got it right, he's actually hit
Scoring
11.
and rebound. Scoring and rebound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on him? I think he's
And
11 and
welcome back
22 on
here at
threes,
Cmacs
so
Southern
that's
Kitchen. It's on the
50%.
hill. It's talking season. It's our prediction Thursday as we're going to go ahead and get right into the 6A quarterfinal matchup. Greenwood hosting El Dorado. I'm taking the Bulldogs. Till somebody proves they can beat them, I'm taking Greenwood.
Man, I gotta go to the hometown.
Oh,
Going to the pound.
Woo, that's a L.
I know that's an upset right there.
Catholic and Mountain Home, probably the best game outside of Benton and Lake Hamilton in the whole 6A. I'm going to go on a limb, and I'm going to take Catholic in a really, really, really close ball game. Who you got?
I'll go Catholic too.
Benton and Lake Hamilton.
Oh, Lake Hamilton.
I'm going to take the Panthers of Benton. Lake Hamilton's a good one. Got an Arkansas offensive line commit. Big 6'5", 295-pound left tackle. But I'm going to take Benton in this game because I picked Benton to be the opponent to take on Greenwood in the state championship. So I'm going to stay with my loyalty.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah. Ben. Yeah. We sure did.
Next up, Shiloh will host the Van Buren Pointers.
Oh, Shiloh. I'm gonna go Shiloh, man.
I'll take Shiloh Christian.
I'm gonna take Shiloh.
I will take Shiloh Christian as well. Going into the next round, and we'll get that for you. The 5A matchups in the quarterfinals are as followed: Valley View and Morrilton. Where are we going?
Morrilton.
I'm gonna take Valley View in this one. I think Valley View's got a really good football team, and I'll take Valley View to advance. Maumelle takes on, I believe they take on Parkview. I think that's how it is.
Ooh.
Maumelle and Parkview, yeah. I'm taking the Patriots.
I'm gonna go Parkview too.
Robinson and Lakeside.
I'm gonna go Lakeside.
I think I'll take Robinson in this one. Farmington and Camden Fairview.
Ooh. I gotta go Camden on this one, man.
Me as well. In the Battle of the Cardinals, I think Camden, who went last year to Farmington and knocked the Cardinals off, I think they'll do the same thing this Friday. So I'm going to take the Cardinals from Camden Fairview to move on. Now, we're wrapping it up for a quarterfinal matchup. Second round, I should say. We've got Dardanelle and Prairie Grove. I'm taking Sand Lizards.
Ooh.
Dardanelle.
I'm gonna take. Oh, I can't take Prairie Grove. I'm gonna go to Sand Lizards too, man.
Arkadelphia and Gentry. I'll take the Badgers of Arkadelphia.
I gotta go Arkadelphia. You know, my cousin. My cousin will call me right now if I didn't pick Arkadelphia.
Southside and Heber Springs.
Southside.
Hot Spring, or I think it's Hot Springs, Southside, or something like that.
Southside.
I'm gonna go Southside as well. Monticello and Hamburg.
I'm going them Bull Weevils. Nah, they're not Bull Weevils for the high school. But
I'll take Monticello.
But I'm taking Monticello. They
Mills
bullies.
University Studies and Clinton.
Say that again.
Mills University Studies. And Clinton.
Let's go Mills.
We've got Elkins and Mena.
I'm gonna go Elkins.
Warren and the winner of Game 12.
Warren.
All right. Malvern and Highland.
Malvern.
And I think that's going to just about wrap it up for us on the high school picks. Let's get off into a few of the college game day picks, and I pretty much know those. Alabama travels to Norman to take on the Sooners. Who you got?
Roll Tide, baby.
I got Alabama as well. Florida host Ole Miss in the Swamp.
I got some gator on the stick. I
like that one as well. Texas hosts Kentucky.
Oh, Texas.
Yes, absolutely. Arkansas goes on our host to try to get bowl eligible. Louisiana Tech.
My mind is telling me no, but my body.
Hey, I'm gonna take Arkansas, Missouri, and Mississippi State.
No, I'm gonna take Arkansas, and then I'm gonna take.
Man, as much as I hate to do it, I'm gonna take Missouri. I'm gonna use common sense.
I'm gonna take Missouri.
Set my emotions and feelings to the side, and I'm gonna say that Missouri will take it. Now, who's your player of the game and your final score of Arkansas and La Tech?
Oh, I think Landon Jackson needs to have a big game. I think right now he's trying to really solidify himself in the draft pick, and I think he really turns it up and they create some things on defense geared up just for him. I think they're going to dial some players up just for Landon to execute, and I think he's really going to dominate this weekend.
I'll take Larry Worth. Really felt good about maybe they have found him a position back there at the safety spot. So I think Larry Worth is going to have a really good game. Offensively, I just think Jaquindon Jackson will run the ball with some authority, and I think Arkansas wins the game.
That's my guy.
I think 35-17. Arkansas will become bowl eligible. But, hey, that's going to wrap up our show today. We'll be back next Wednesday. No show Monday, as we'll be out. And then we'll have one show next week, and we'll be out the following next Thursday for Thanksgiving. But, hey, we want to give our sponsors a big shout-out. That being said, Lindsay & Associates, they have an office in Fayetteville, office in Rogers, and their newest location in Bentonville. That's Lindsay & Associates. We bring great neighbors together. Also, too, First Choice Protection Systems. And get this, they do honor the veteran discount. So if you are a veteran, make sure to get in touch with our good buddies down at First Choice Protection Systems for all your security needs. And Fayetteville Glass, they're located at 1725 North College Avenue. They're family owned since 1947. That's Fayetteville Glass, not Auto Company, Inc. And finally, where we're at right now, and get this, we're at Cmacs Southern Kitchen at 2190, but if you go to any local locations here in the Northwest Arkansas area and you mention that you heard this for a 25% discount, you heard it on the Hill Media at any other locations, they will get you taken care of. So I want to thank Cmacs and thank all of our sponsors. My guy D, me, hey, tomorrow night, Fayetteville takes on the Pulaski Academy Bruins in the quarterfinal matchup round here in the Arkansas 7A playoffs. We will be on the air. If you missed the KC Dick show, we will have that in its entirety at 6:15, and that will be followed by kickoff with Aaron, Rags, D, the boiled chicken man. Hey, we'll be ready.
But you gotta eat something pretty soon, huh, Pat?
I'll try not to think about that. Hey, we'll see you next week, or we'll see you tomorrow night. It's on the Hill, live from Cmacs Southern Kitchen. And you know what I say. Let's get it.